Big Sil's National Football Show on the road to Glendale. Just say that, on the road to Glendale. Man, second Super Bowl in 5 years is quite a testament to the Eagle organization. And by the way, are these not the two best organizations over the last 7 years? Right? You could probably throw maybe the Patriots in that conversation too, but I mean, here they are. 49ers, who were in that conversation, but the Chiefs, man. I mean, look at all the conference championship games they've been in. This is really going to be a very interesting ball game. By the way, can I please do something here? Hey, Tone. I am taking back every single thing I said about Nick Sirianni right here. Mark it down. 3:02 Eastern time. Anything I've ever said about Nick Sirianni, I am taking back 100%. After watching Taylor Sirianni sitting there at the press conference and watching Sirianni be a dad, that's the toughest person he's ever coached. I mean, if you can coach Taylor Sirianni, you can coach anybody. You can coach anybody. Dude, did she not have the mannerisms down? Taylor Sirianni is a Philadelphia treasure now. Don't ever have anyone say if anyone ever says anything negative about those three kids, I will personally come to Philly and kick your ass. I'll come out of retirement. Those kids were gold. Nick's talking about running the ball late in the football game, and she's got the dad down pat. I text Sirianni, and I said, hey, that's the toughest person you'll ever coach. I said, by the way, my daughter's 22 now. It only gets worse. Dude, enjoy that. Man, that was big time. Holy cow, man. Did I enjoy that? I must have watched that video clip 50 times. I'm laughing in bed last night, watching that little girl just like, and it's not mocking. It's fun. It's fun family stuff. Dude, that he's talking so serious to the Philly media, you know. Hey, Nick, that was your best press conference since you've been Eagle head coach. Is your daughter sitting there doing that? Okay. Anton goes, are you going to talk about Tom retiring? That's second. That video with Taylor Sirianni talk and doing what she was doing. And how about when she goes, Taylor, stop it. Taylor, stop it. She starts laughing. Dude, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm watching the 22, and, you know, I'm watching the Chiefs, and I'm watching the Eagle 22, and I'm sitting here going like, and then I see this thing. Someone sends it to me, and I go, this is gold. I stopped what I was doing to watch it. Taylor, stop it. Stop it. And I'm going, dude, that is so great. And you could tell he doesn't hit her. I have a daughter, and she acted the same way. I said this to my daughter once. Just so you know, good afternoon, Neil. So we're at the beach when we were back in Florida, right? We were in Florida, and my daughter was doing something stupid to me. And so I looked at her. I go, if you don't pick that up, I'm going to bury you out here with the crabs in the sand. They'll never find you. Someone sitting next to us and heard that. She looked at me. My daughter looked at her and went, don't worry. He's just a big mouth. He'll never do anything like that. She was 8 years old. And my wife starts laughing, and I'm going like, man, this is just going to get worse. I told Nick that story, man. Oh, dude, that put a smile on my face, man. That's a great storyline going out to the Super Bowl in Glendale. Wendell says, let Miles go. Gainwell number 1. Let Slay go. Draft a corner. I'm kind of in there with you. Let's get going here a little bit. All right. By the way, real quick, before we get started, Shane Steichen Why would you take that second interview with the Colts? Why would you take that second interview? Is that a place you want to go to have your career die? Or do you want to just be a millionaire? Because Irsay's all popped up on pills, makes knee-jerk reaction, and he makes stupid things when it comes to decision-making with the Colts. You'll never have a decent quarterback in the room. Why would you want that job? Now, again, there's 32 of them in the world. I get it. Plus you could become a millionaire overnight. I get it. I guess you got to grab it. But, dude, man, is that a job that you think you're going to have job security at? They haven't got the quarterback right since Andrew Luck. Is that the job you want, dude? Okay? Is that the job you want? Merrill Reese, 4:30 Eastern Time, the legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, do me a favor. This is Merrill's fourth Super Bowl with Philly, right? 80, the McNabb, 17, and now this, right? It's 4 for him. Okay, right? This is his fourth trip, right? I believe he was the voice calling that 80 Super Bowl, right? So Merrill Reese going to his fourth Super Bowl. Can you imagine this? You're the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, and you've been to every single Super Bowl in franchise history, and you've been the voice of it. It's crazy. And that's crazy awesome. Crazy legendary. Crazy legendary. All right. The Brady retirement. Let me put this in Philadelphia Eagles context. We'll talk about Brady's tremendous career. What else is there to say about Tom Brady's career that hasn't already been said and we don't already know as fans? I've got some topics out there later on in the program. But let me tell you how Brady's retirement affects the NFC. Okay. Who's the favorite to win the NFC South now? That division. Who wins the NFC South? I'm putting this in Eagle context moving forward over the next 3 years. Okay? Who is the top dog in the NFC South? Who's the top dog? The Saints? Okay. I mean, are they any threat to the Eagles? Is there anybody in that division? Atlanta? Anybody in that division is a threat? I guess maybe whoever lands there, quarterback-wise, maybe Garoppolo finally does get to Tampa. Or how about Aaron Rodgers getting to Tampa? Possibly. So let's just take a look at that Brady retirement here. Outside of Jalen Hurts, what quarterbacks do you think can push their teams into an NFC championship to compete against the Eagles? Now, let's do this. I think San Francisco is still going to compete, but let me show you where you are now in the quarterback carousel known as the San Francisco 49ers. Okay? So now Purdy's not going to be ready potentially for 6 months. Trey Lance, you don't know if he can play or not. Garoppolo's leaving the building. It's kind of chaos. Quite frankly, since Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach with the Niners, have you seen more instability with the quarterback position than in San Francisco? Yet they've still won, right? Okay. So what other team do you think that Minnesota, having won all those one score games, what was it, like 11? You think they're going to win all those games this year with Kirk Cousins? I don't know. Kirk Cousins, Jalen, Eagles. You're not paying Jalen yet? Really, Minnesota? Minnesota is kind of a charade, right? They're kind of a fraud. Detroit. Real goes Detroit. Maybe Detroit. Do the Rams bounce back? What do the Rams have? They're probably going to move off of Jalen Ramsey in the offseason here. You got Cooper Kupp, an aging Matthew Stafford who's been banged up. Name me another team in the NFC. So if the Eagles lose some guys in free agency, as long as it's not catastrophic, they could be right back in the NFC Championship game all over again, especially if they hit on some free agents that Howie gets a Howie deal on again like he did. Do I think Howie can replicate what he did this past offseason? No, I don't. Dude, he's not going to go 8 for 8 again. No one does. That was unprecedented. But I do think he's better at free agency and making trades than he is at drafting. His draft this year had no impact on the football team. Now, it's a good football team. It's a good football team. So, you got to temper that comment that I just made by saying, well, Sills' draft. Well, they really didn't. Nobody really had. I haven't seen Jordan Davis. Since Jordan Davis has been activated again since he got hurt, he has been a zero factor. Zero factor. Linval Joseph has been more of a factor. So, where I'm going and my point is, man, so if the Eagles lose some guys, I think they're going to be okay. As long as there's not these falling off the cliff, like the secondary guys, what is the biggest concern for Howie as he moves into the 2023 season? What's the biggest area that you don't want to get weak at? I think there's two. O-line, which I think they're intact, right? Everybody's under a great contract. Sayamalo's got a deal. Lane's coming back. Okay, Isaac Sayamalo. Now Jordan Mailata's deal's set. Dickerson's set. You know, Kelsey you still have to have a conversation with. And Sayamalo's going to be a tough loss. But you could draft a guy, and you got the best offensive line coach. Sayamalo is going to get at least $13 million in the open market. Okay, he's making like $3 million right now, and he's 29. Guys, Howie's not going to pay another guy $15 million. You think you're going to pay your two bookends $18 million, your center $10 million, and your right guard $15 million? Dude, we did it yesterday. There's just not enough money to go around. Okay, there's just not enough money. And by the way, I don't think that guy Juergens is big enough to play guard. I don't think he's big enough. Okay? I just don't. Again, going back to the Brady retirement, though, depending on who Tampa gets in, here, now watch this. If I'm Green Bay, do you come back with Aaron Rodgers one more year, knowing that the NFC is so down quarterback? All the quarterbacks are over on the AFC. Don't you, if you're Green Bay, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to bring, I think it's $60 million this year. It's like $60 million. Don't you bring him back? Because without Aaron Rodgers, say Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. So you take Aaron Rodgers out of the NFC, the Eagles for the next 2-3 years, there's no competition in the NFC for them. Now, some keep pointing out the Cowboys, all right? Here's my issue with the Cowboys. You're losing Zeke. Zach Martin's got 2 years left. The kid you drafted played pretty well. You got to address your D tackles a bit. Micah Parsons is really good. You need another wideout, but Prescott's holding you back. You're never going to win a championship with Dak Prescott as your quarterback. Now, if you're Dallas, you may say this. Well, we may win with Dak. And the reason we may win with Dak is because the only guy that we have to really fear is Jalen Hurts. Is Daniel Jones going to be in the conversation where you're going to call him an elite passer in the NFC? Hey, man, after naming Tyler Huntley to the Pro Bowl, I think anything is possible, but I'm going to say no as of right now. Tone says, this may sound crazy, but should the Eagles let Bradbury walk, move on from Slay, then trade for Jalen Ramsey and draft a corner? Ramsey makes $20 million, man. His contract for the next 2 years is under market value. Okay, 14.5, 15.5. Hey, Tone, do me a favor. See how old he is. Because Jalen Ramsey, great player. That's a really good take on Jalen Ramsey. I probably think that the Rams would want to probably try to trade him to the AFC. Somebody like the Patriots. That's not a bad take. That's not a bad take. I mean, because you're thinking about replacing talent with talent. Wow, Jalen Ramsey's 28 and he's under market value. Was he hurt last year at all? So let me go back and take a look at that one more time. This is what Tone says. Should the Eagles let Bradbury walk? Ramsey's better than Bradbury. Move on from Slay. Draft a guy with the 10th pick. And the Rams need draft choices too, don't they? And trade for Jalen Ramsey. I'd give you a third for him. And then you got him for the next 2 years at 14.5, at 15.5, and he's 28. I like that. How about this? That's an option. Okay? That's an option. Trade Slay, sign CJ, sign Bradbury, draft. Let Bradbury walk, trade Slay, make a deal with the Rams to get Jalen Ramsey at 28 and get him under market value. Good thinking, Tone. Be on your game. That's why you're a huge asset to this show. Jalen Ramsey's one of the best lockdown corners. Played on a shitty football team last year that didn't want to show up. All of them, including the coach. See, you're looking also. Remember this too. Under market value helps you do what? Sign Jalen. You're trying to keep as many pieces on the chessboard after this Brady retirement here. Not financially kick your salary cap in the teeth. And you're trying to create space now. And by the way, Clutch Sports will be watching all this. Look, they're trying to create space to sign a 3-year or 5-year contract with Jalen here. They're moving pieces around, but not talent around. Who gives a shit what the name on the back of the jersey is? This is what happens with fans. You care more about the names on the back of the jersey than the emblem. In the NFL, this is not about the name on the back of the jersey. It's about the name on the front of the jersey. Okay? It's not about the name on the back. This is about winning. That's what New England did. They only cared about one name on the back of the jersey. It was Brady. Everybody else was interchangeable. That's the mentality you have to have. Now, it's a different dynamic with a dual threat guy. Okay? You need more to help these guys, including Lamar. Dude, I'll show you this. The one thing that Jalen Hurts has made it very... Now, they had to make a trade. I don't see a lot of free agents wanting to come. No injury history. Played all 17 games. I'll tell you the one thing, though. Okay, nobody wants to play wide receiver in Baltimore. Nobody. You don't see anybody clamoring to go play with Lamar Jackson that's a wideout, do you? You see guys like Hollywood that wanted to get the hell out of there and go to Arizona. Nobody wants – Hollywood Brown didn't even want to play there. Hollywood Brown is not an elite guy. He didn't even want to play there. Guys don't want to play with Lamar. Now, they had a trade to get AJ. And AJ, I think, felt a little bent that Tennessee dealt him and didn't give him the extra money. I don't know if Philly would have been his number one option. Say he was a free agent. Would Philly have been his number one option? I doubt it. So it was a trade. It's going to be interesting to see how many people want to come in. Wide receivers don't want to play in Philly. They never have. T.O. is like the only guy. And again, AJ's the best wideout you've had complete since T.O. Now, that dynamic may be changing because of Jalen. I agree 100%. I do. I'm not saying that thing hasn't changed. Jalen's changing a lot of ideologies about the Eagles. I'm not saying that. Wow. The real. Could Ramsey be the next Nnamdi Asomugha? You see, though, real? These are decisions Howie's got to put on the table. There's got to be a ton of options here for this. Okay? I like it. I think it's a really solid pick here on what you're saying. Since Jalen helps Smitty and Brown both. Yes, that changes it. Yes. Since you see 2,000-yard wide receivers on one unit, there's no question wide receivers are going to go, oh, these guys got their numbers. I'm going to a place where I get my numbers. Remember, wideouts want their numbers. They don't want wins. Wideouts don't give a shit about wins. Since when? Since when? All the diva wideouts. Okay? All the diva wideouts. A diva wideout in Kansas. Watch this. They moved the diva wideout in Kansas City because they couldn't pay him. And they got good guys in Kansas City now. Okay? Right? Okay. So this Brady retirement, everyone's looking up at Philly. It's not Dallas. It's kind of San Fran, but the quarterback thing keeps them behind Philly. Okay? Keeps them behind Philly. There's every team in the NFC, even going into a heavy-driven free agent season for Howie and the Eagles, I still think puts them, because of their draft equity. Dude, you're picking 10th. Say you win it. And 32. Man. And do this. Do we not agree in the draft? Do we not agree? If I'm Howie Roseman, I trade down. Because there's going to be desperate people looking for quarterbacks, especially NFC teams, that are going to make a gamble on Richardson from Florida. And I don't think he's very good, but he's going to be a first rounder. Will Levis from Kentucky. Those kind of players. Everyone's going to be searching for that diamond in the rough, that needle in the haystack. If I'm Howie, offer me. It's the 10th pick. What do you give it for? I'll take another first rounder the following year. Or I'll trade down. You can have remember something. If a quarterback's taken in the 10th pick, you're still a premium guy. Which means the difference between the 10th pick and the 3rd pick or the 1st pick is not monumental. I think the Eagles are sitting in a very comfortable position on what they're going to do. And they're going to have more draft equity. And they're going to have latitude to be able to move around. At that 10th pick is going to be a valuable pick. Hey, by the way, especially if Chicago doesn't do anything, look what the Eagles are going to get. So I would say that Bryce Young probably goes 2 to Houston. That means that Will Anderson will probably be the first player taken in the draft, which means what? The draft already is set. A defensive guy goes number 1 over an offensive guy for the second year in a row. That's unprecedented. That is, Chicago doesn't move off of Justin Fields, which I don't think they will. Should they? They should entertain it. And then what does that do? That's just one less defensive player off the board. More offensive players sliding down. By the time you get to 10, there could be quality wideouts, and they don't need a wideout. Philly doesn't need a wideout. They need a corner. This is one of the deepest drafts for corners that I can remember in a long time. Okay? Maybe since the Honey Badger draft where all them DBs went. This is going to be really rich. Really rich in corners. So to me, Howie Roseman looks at this and goes, dude, I think the key is getting off Slay. Get off Slay. Time to trade him. No disrespect. I want to trade players with still gasoline in the tank, not empty. Why would you have a guy? And the loyalty to players, dude, players are looking to make as much money as they can. Help Slay out. Go somewhere else. Watch this. If you trade Slay goes somewhere else, plays well, they may give him another contract. You're not getting another contract in Philadelphia, and you're going to be market value guy at 34. Slay's in the difficult part of his career right now. He's on the back nine. He'll be 34 next year, 33, 34 next year. He's not playing like he did at the beginning of the season. I don't think he's coming back from that. And you make $18 million. That ain't worth it to me. No disrespect. He's been great. He's been one of the really good moves that Howie has made as a trade. As a matter of fact, I would say this to you. Of all the moves that Howie Roseman has made, Darius Slay has to be right up there with AJ. Not quite AJ, but trying to think of another trade. You have to put Slay in that conversation. Do what the Patriots do. Trade a guy when he has gas in the tank, like Stephon Gilmore, guys like that. When they trade players that have, what was the kid's name? Richard Seymour, Chandler Jones. That was a mistake, but okay. Jeremy says, Big Sales, love you. Always love watching the content. Game prediction, Eagles 31, Chiefs 14. Jalen will finally dual threat. Yeah, I think so, Jeremy. Jeremy, I'm not going to be one of these guys to sit here and kind of lead up and go, I'll give you my prediction with the around the Super Bowl. I don't see the Chiefs. I'll say a little bit more on the Chiefs where I think they could possibly – if it gets into a shooting match and it's bad play calling on the offensive side, it's the only way it keeps them in it, bad play calling and turnovers. Because to me, Kelsey is the only way they could stay in the game against the Eagles is if Patrick Mahomes can find Kelsey across the middle. Okay? Because I don't believe you're going to get a running game going. Okay? I just don't. I don't see the advantages. Coaching, probably. Okay? Coaching, quarterback, and tight end. And the Eagle tight end is not – he's not a dog. He's probably fourth in the league, in the top 5. And I would probably want a guy like Dallas Goedert because I think he's physical. Sills, what do you think Slay's worth? I think you could trade him right now for a third-round draft choice. I think you could get a 3 for him. Next year, you get a 5 for him. You get a 5 next year. And remember something, too. Something that Tone said about the Ramsey deal. Remember something. Philly may have to eat a little at $18 million, too. Do you think you could trade Darius Slay right now at 32 at $18 million for a first-round draft choice? 95% of the teams are in cap hell. It's not that the kid's not a good player. He's got an $18 million tag to him. So somebody said second or third. Really? Don't forget the $18 million. Don't forget that. Teams have to put that on their cap. Okay? Remember what Chicago did. It's got to be kind of structured like what Chicago did. They sent Robert Quinn to the Eagles, and the Eagles sent a 4th-round pick, and they only had to pay something like $400,000 or something of that $14 million or $18 million bucks or some crazy number that Robert Quinn had. Dude, Robert Quinn, he's finished. Be making $1 million next year. Right now, he's making $16 million. That guy ain't making that money again. Chicago should have traded him a year ago. After the sack season where he had 18, if you were going to trade Roquan Smith, you surely should have traded Robert Quinn at 33. See? That's why Chicago right now. Sills, I owe you an apology. I said some things about you using Jerome Brown, and that was wrong of me. Even in a fit of anger. I'm so Dank, that's all good, dude. Dank, here's the thing about Jerome and me. Hey, Dank, you think Jerome agreed with everything I said? You don't think Jerome Brown and me had wrestling matches in the Miami Hurricane locker room? You don't think Jerome Brown and me didn't sit around at night having deep-ass conversations about things in life. It's all good, man. Dank, I pissed my family off, my aunt off, everyone. I get it. It's all good. You know what makes you cool, Dank? You come back. That's all good, man. We'll have a beer when I get to Philly. It's all good. Don't worry about it. All of you, even the ones that give me the craziest shit, it's all good. Even the ones, watch this, even the people that call me racist, we'll have a beer. I don't hate anybody. I really don't. My aunt always helps me not use that word because hate is something that really, I may dislike something. I may not be a fan of something, but, hate means, it's especially the stupidest shit in the world. I don't hate anything like that. Dankos, thank you, but I'm in Portland. Okay. And we may have to go up there and have some of that great salmon. Been up there a few times. Am I buying? No, Jacob's buying. Wait, that means we're not eating. Yeah. Stills love the show. You are Philly material. Thank you, Charles. I think you're great. You guys see this now, though? Do you guys see this here? Check it out. Right? You guys see this? Philly can own this thing. The NFC, not just the East, but the NFC for the next. How he does it right? 3 years? Dude, that's a lifetime in the NFL. Hey, Big Sills, just tuned in. I was wondering your thoughts on the Eagles' D-line versus the Chiefs' O-line. Most TV prognosticators have been saying that the DL won't be able to do much against the Chiefs. Dennis, think about this for a second. The Chiefs' O-line is not better than the Niners. The Chiefs' O-line, Orlando Brown's overrated. That offensive line in Kansas City is not that good. The 49ers have more talent than the Chiefs do. All across the board except the quarterback. I mean, am I wrong? They don't have a Deebo Samuel. They've got a Kelsey. Well, they kind of got Kittle. They got the best left tackle in the game. Orlando Brown is not Trent Williams. They got Chris Jones. They got Nick Bosa. They got Fred Warner. They don't have anybody like that. That Hufanga kid in the secondary. Chiefs got 2 rookies starting at corner. I don't see it. I said this. There's not much. The only reason people are trying to break this thing down to make it sound closer so that they can get viewers and keep you engaged with the Super Bowl. But right now, unless something drastically changes, 31-17, Eagles. If Mahomes turns this into a high-scoring game, it's his only chance to win. Dude, they can't run the ball on Philly. I'm sorry, man. I said personally, I didn't think the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl because I thought they were going to play. I didn't think they would end up being this multifaceted, being able. Look, their passing game, it stunk against the Niners, but they didn't have to do anything. Get this, Jalen Hurts played not very well in that game. He didn't have to play great. When a quarterback doesn't have to play well in an NFC title game and they still beat you by 24, that says a lot for the team. Remember that. Hey, a couple days now I've been saying Jalen didn't play well in an NFC title game, and he didn't. But to beat a team by 24 points and your quarterback doesn't play well, I don't know. Okay? Yeah, Mahomes is going to have to throw for 500 yards. I agree, Tone. He's going to have to put big numbers up. And he's going to have high completion percentage. And Kelsey's got to have 200 yards. They don't have a running game. I just don't see it. The linebackers can't cover Kelsey. That's the only chance Kansas City has. How long do you think Reddick will play at that level? Elders, he has been a human bullet since Pittsburgh. Since the week they played Pittsburgh, he's been a human bullet. A human bullet. Couldn't have been more wrong about a guy. Incredible turnaround from the first 6 games where he stunk. Not stunk. First 3 games, he stunk. But that's because they couldn't figure him out, and they're dropping him in coverage like jackasses. And this is the same thing Arizona and Carolina did. They were dropping him in coverages because you know why? They wanted to play him on all 3 downs. And they wanted to stay in that 50 front. They got out of that 50 front when they got Sue and Joseph. He exploded. Okay? He exploded. Since you said he was on the bus, he got off, he might watch your show, LA. I don't know. I know a lot of people at the NovaCare Center do. Okay? He's been spectacular, man. He really has. Am I right, though? Before I move on here, dude, you know, I keep going like this to you guys. Hey, man, and you know what? It sounds like gloom and doom when I say this. Man, they got 16 free agents. Where are they getting all the money from? Maybe they don't have to really have the same team back. Because here, just give me 3 teams that you think are going to try to push the Eagles. Now, their schedule's tougher, obviously. Dude, I think Dallas will be worse. And if that's your guy, great. Mike McCarthy's now the play caller. Personally, I think Justin Herbert is going to blow up with the new play caller, Kellen Moore. He's got a better arm. Sills, I became a fan of yours after yesterday's show. Your story about Jerome touched my heart. Paul, thank you. Hey, Paul, being at a Klan rally with Jerome Brown, breaking it up. By the way, Google it. It's in Sports Illustrated. They may even have a picture of me and him there. Hey, Paul. Big Sills, working for Hugh Culverhouse. At a Klan rally with Jerome Brown, breaking it up. Ugh. Seahawks, I believe they're not moving off of Geno. San Francisco, the Seahawks. The Lions. I like the Lions too. All right, let's get into the topics here. By the way, can I show you a gift before we get into the topics? Can I show you a gift I got? I don't even think my aunt's seen this. Can I show you guys a gift that I got from an NFL legend? I don't want to take your time up here. It's kind of cool. He couldn't send me a full jersey, so he had one hanging around for me. Here's check this out. So sent me a nice heartfelt letter. Look what he gave me. And again, he apologized for it being a medium, but it's something for me to hang up. I don't wear other dudes' jerseys like that. But Mark Gastineau, the inventor of the sack dance, gave me this. Hey, I know. It's the Jets. I know it's the Jets. Gastineau's the most famous Jet. The next most famous Jet is Fireman Ed. I get it. I get it. So that was really nice of him. Yeah. Let me see what he wrote in here too. See what he wrote. Dan, you know that you are family when this is the best we could do for a greeting card, and I'm writing on a slant. More importantly, enjoy your signed jersey sent to you with love. Mark and Joanne Gastineau. Mark's a troubled guy. I'm attracted to troubled guys. I think everybody makes a mistake in life and everybody gets an opportunity to right the ship. You know, you can repair a ship and set it back out to sea. You don't have to sink it. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. We've all had, as I call, dents in the fender. You know, you don't have to scrap the car because you have a dent in the fender. Fix the fender. Drive on. Not everybody can do that, though. But it's okay. Some people are stronger than others. Pretty cool. So Joe Namath. Okay. Namath, Gastineau, and Fireman Ed. Dude, people send me all kinds of stuff. You see? One of my dear friends here, Leroy Selman. Best always. He is the greatest football player I've ever seen in my life. I wore 93 in college because he wore 93 at Oklahoma. That's why I wore 93. I wore 93 in honor of Leroy. Leroy was, oh, what a friend. What a friend. What a friend Leroy Selman was, man. I miss him to this day. Him and Jerome Brown, probably my two dearest friends. Len Bias was my workout buddy at Maryland. And I miss, isn't it crazy? People I've had in my life, Len Bias was my workout buddy my freshman year at Maryland. We used to get up every day at 6 o'clock and go work out. Len was a workout machine. And he'd come watch us play. We were the same age. By the way, you see that up there? And some of you guys know this. You see that thing in the middle there? It says 1983 championship. That's my ACC championship. I got one before he did. He got his the next year when they beat North Carolina. But we go down to Chapel Hill, watch him play against Jordan, and he'd watch us play at Bird Stadium, and we won the ACC championship that year. Yeah, man. Len, hey, in my opinion, I know all of you will probably kill me when I say this. I'm sorry, but best basketball player I've ever seen in my life, live. And I saw Jordan play live. I saw Ralph Sampson play live. I saw Worthy play live, all in college. And Len Bias is the best basketball player I've ever seen. I've never seen a better basketball player than Len Bias. Never. I thought he was better than Jordan. Jordan has said it himself. He goes, I'd like to have played against him in the NBA because he was special. And then when I was at Miami and I got the call, do you guys remember a dude named Adrian Branch? You guys remember Adrian Branch? And Lefty Driesell was his coach. I'm sitting in my room with my girlfriend at Miami, and those guys stayed in touch with me because I love them guys. I got thrown out of Maryland because I was an unruly kid. My aunt doesn't want me to tell you the story, and I'm not going to. Adrian Branch calls me, Sills. Bias died. I'm like, come again? I talked to him 2 weeks ago. I talked to his younger brother who ended up dying also. I go, where's the mom? He goes, we're with the mom. I'm like, I'll be right up there. So within a matter of from 83 to 90, whatever it was when Jerome died, I buried Jerome and Len Bias. People I talk to on the phone all the time. My girlfriend at the time, and now my wife goes, Jesus, Graminy. Don't tell people you knew all these guys because they'll never believe you. I go, I know. I know, man. I know. Okay. Chuck goes, still sounds like a biased statement about Lenny Bias versus Jordan. It is. Let's move on here. All right. The true MVP. I don't want this show. And by the way, I'm going to say something here, and I'm going to set the barometer here. Okay, wait a minute here now. I don't want anybody to think that all of a sudden this is going to be like some sort of love fest for Hurts here. But I want to look at this. Who's the real NFL MVP going into this game? I got the numbers. And then I'm going to make a case for Jalen. Between Mahomes and Hurts going into the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday, let's look at the numbers and then look behind the numbers. Mahomes, 648 attempts to Jalen's 460. Okay. You would expect that in an Andy Reid offense and with a team with no running game, correct? Okay. Mahomes almost had as many completions as Jalen had attempts, 435 to 306. By the way, all increases for Jalen from a year ago. Remember, at the beginning of the year, that's all we were kind of looking for. Okay? Was improvement. Wait. Joseph thinks this is going to go the other way. Joseph, I think you're going to be stunned because, hey, when I see something and I put an opinion on it, you tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, okay. Mahomes' completion percentage. And by the way, for the record, Mahomes beats him in everything. But I'm going to put a little more on this. Completion percentage, Mahomes 67.1, Jalen 66.5. Not drastic. Yards, 52.50 to 37.01. TDs, 41 to 22. Interceptions, 12 to 6. More attempts, you would expect. QBR, 105.2 for Mahomes, 101.6. Both 14 and 3. Now, let's add the rushing. Mahomes, I can't believe actually Mahomes had this amount of yards. Mahomes had 61 attempts for 358 yards. That's more than I thought. And 4 touchdowns. 6 yards a clip. Pretty effective. And would we not agree? Guys, would we not agree? 61 rushing attempts. Isn't that where you want Jalen? Or no? You really want Jalen at 165? Missing 2 games? He probably would have been over 300 yards if he didn't get hurt. Or 200 carries. Or maybe that's part of what the offense is. Jalen had 760 yards rushing. 13 touchdowns. 4.6 yards. Now, if you add all the total yards, I think it's closer than what you thought. And I think it's closer. Mahomes had 5,608 total yards. Hurts had 4,461. Okay. Mahomes had 44 touchdowns. Hurts had 35. Jalen was on pace for the first player in NFL history for 4,000 passing yards before he got hurt. Mark, again, you can't put that out there. That's a projection, not fact. That's the reason I said he'd never throw for 4,000 yards. Not because of his talent, because dual threat prohibits you from doing that. You miss games. Part of dual threat is missing games. And here's the fact. It's not a Jalen thing. It's a dual threat thing. Okay? It's a dual threat thing. You could call it Sileo hating her. It's not. Sileo not liking dual threat because you miss significant games. Baltimore is an example. Arizona is an example. RG3 is an example. Shit, the guy in Chicago had surgery. Okay? So you're going to miss games. It's not a conversation on ability. People put those two together because ability, some look at it and go, well, Sills, durability too has to be part of that. I go, you show me a durable, dual threat guy who runs as much as Jalen Hurts and throws like Hurts. And you show me a guy that doesn't miss ball games. Okay? You show me a guy that doesn't miss ball games. Now, let's do this. Here's why Mahomes is the most valuable player. If you took Patrick Mahomes off Kansas City, what would the record be? What would the record be in Kansas City without Mahomes? What would the record be? Eight and 9. I'm assuming, Jeffy, that it's because of Andy Reid. You think 10 and 7? 8 and 9? No way, 11 and 5. With Chase Daniels? You think you're going to go 11 and 5 and you're going to play and beat Joe Burrow and all those other guys with Chase Daniels? Sorry, you're not going 11 and 6 with Chase Daniels quarterbacking your football team. Sorry, that ain't happening. I say you're a 9 and 8 football team at best. At best. At best. Maybe even worse. If Jalen Hurts isn't the starting quarterback in Philadelphia, what's the record with the Eagles? You're telling me you can't beat some of those shitty teams that you guys played this year? I agree with Sills on the two-time quarterbacks to an extent. Play Superman games, went. Yes, Alf. Yes. 12 and 5, 8 and 8, 7 and 10. The Eagles would not have been 5 and 11. You're telling me you can't beat the Texans? Here's the games that I think you would have lost without Jalen. I think, personally, Gardner Minshew would have beat Cooper Rush. I think he would have split with Dallas. I still think he would have beat the Giants twice. You would have split with Washington. You would have beat the Jags. You may not have beaten Washington. You would have beaten, no, you may not have beaten the Colts. You would have lost to the Packers. You'd have beat Chicago. You lost to the Saints anyway without Jalen, so right there is a factual thing. Lost to Detroit. Yeah. So 9 and 8. Philadelphia would have been 9 and 8, maybe 10 and 7. They surely, both teams are not the same. That's not my point. Finding out who the most valuable person is to his team. Okay? Now let's do this. How many stars does Patrick Mahomes play with in Kansas City? One. Pro Bowl running back. 2 All-Pros in the O-line. 3 Pro Bowlers in the O-line. 2,000-yard wide receivers. He plays with 5 stars on offense. 5 stars. All pro guys. All pro running back. All pro. Tackle, center, guard. Mulata's a second team all pro. 2 wide receivers, 1,000 yards, one's all pro. Tight end is a Pro Bowl caliber guy. He plays with 6 stars. 6 stars. Mahomes plays with 1. 1. Yeah, well, first ballot tight end. Well, Jalen plays with 2 guys that are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers in his huddle. The center and the right tackle are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. My point is, Mahomes does more with less. than Jalen does. That's why he's the MVP. It's not just the 52-50. It's the fact that he carries a unit when you lose Tyreek Hill. Jalen Hurts would not have the year he had if you took A.J. Brown off that team. Would he? Here. So you think his numbers would increase like Mahomes' did? Mahomes broke the single-season passing record. You think that Jalen Hurts would have put up the same numbers without A.J. Brown? I do not. Now, Goddard getting hurt, could that have offset A.J.? Maybe a bit. What if Jalen was the quarterback in Kansas City and Mahomes was in Philly? Philadelphia would win by 50 points over Kansas City if the roles were reversed. Mahomes would with an all-pro running back and 2 Hall of Famers and 3 first-team Pro Bowlers in the O-line. Dude, he's got 1 lineman that's worth a shit, kind of. Orlando Brown. Am I wrong when I'm saying here? Jalen Hurts has better talent around him. Mahomes can carry a team. And that's why, hey, once again, I don't. Dude, 6 stars beat 2 stars. I don't give a shit who your quarterback is. Richie goes, you're so wrong. Okay. Who's another star in the offense in Kansas City outside of Kelsey and Mahomes? It's not a fault thing. I'm telling you who the MVP is. I'm telling you who the MVP is. Andy's a factor, Will. He is. Andy's a factor. I would still say this about Will. You know what I'll still say this about Andy that he carried over from Philadelphia? Let me put this out there to you, Will. Maybe you disagree or agree with me. The one thing I'll say is his clock management sometimes going into the half, but because he has Mahomes, he doesn't have to give a shit about, clock management too much. He's kind of like Mike Martz a little bit in a way. Mike Martz never gave a shit about clock management and challenges and shit like that. That's not something he was a big fan of. Okay? I mean, Andy. Okay, I mean, Andy Reid is a factor. He is. There's no doubt. I mean, but I would just say still that Andy, still to my dislike, I don't think he does a great job going into the half and out of and going with 2 minutes left in the game. But he's got Mahomes. Okay? His clock management still kind of sputters at times. I don't know. Maybe you guys see better, but I think it's because Mahomes covers a lot of that stuff. Okay? Just I go, damn, that guy. And I think that's why Mahomes comes over to the sideline sometimes complaining. Why are we doing this and that? And I think he questions a little bit of the play calling at times. You ever notice Mahomes questions the 2-minute drill and what they do going into the half, especially when they have a lead or they're down by 7. He and Andy sometimes don't get on the same page, and Andy has to kind of calm his ass down a little bit. I don't know. This is an observation I see that I thought that he carried over from Philadelphia a little bit. Just something I saw. Seals, who wins Chris Jones and Lane? Man, Lane. I don't. How about this, guys? Jesse, I don't think there's a defensive lineman in the NFL today that Lane can't take care of. And I think that includes Aaron Donald. I don't think there's a defensive lineman he can't take care of. Now, I would say there is not a defensive player that Trent Williams can't take care of. Remember, he's the left tackle. There's difference. left and right are different. They're paid differently. There's on different pay scales. That's the blind side of a quarterback. That's why they get paid more money. He makes $26 million. Lane makes 18. Not a shabby pay at all in any way. I just don't see. Sills, are you going with the Eagles in the Super Bowl? I am. I thought they would lose the Super Bowl if they played like the Bills or Burrow. But Kansas City just doesn't have – and now that I even look at the way the Bills were too reckless with the football, and that is something that I've agreed with you guys on with Josh Allen. Too many reckless and no running game. I think Cincinnati was the only team that could have beat them. Because Cincinnati is Mixon. And Mixon would have been a tough cover. And plus those two wide receivers would have been Hell and Burrow. Kansas City has nothing really that – outside of Kelsey – and I'm not – watch this. Two Hall of Famers, Kelsey and Mahomes. I get it. Question, if your quarterback is left-handed, does that mean your right tackle will get – yes. Tone, name me a left-handed quarterback in the NFL that starts. Tagovailoa and who? Name me a great NFL left-handed quarterback in history. Stabler? That won Super Bowls. Stabler? Young. Name me another one. There's a reason you don't have left-hand quarterbacks. There's a reason you don't have left-hand quarterbacks. Okay? Yeah, Boomer got to one. He never won it. There's only two. Okay? Two that have won championships. Young. Okay? Championships. I mean, you're naming me Mark Brunell, Boomer Esiason, and you got Tua now in the NFL. Who else? Steve Young was the left-handed Super Bowl winner. Michael Vick didn't win shit. Fun to look at. Kind of like a show pony, Michael Vick. Fun to watch. Fun to look at. Couldn't win shit. Because he was hurt at times. Dual threat. Stabler and Young are the only guys that won Super Bowls that were left-handed. Rest of those guys, you don't build your team around the left hand because what happens? That means you have to have a backup that's left-handed. And there's just not enough of them. You got to turn your entire offense around. That's why no one builds their team around a left-hand quarterback. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. What is it about left-handed quarterbacks that teams avoid? They'd have to change the entire personnel around. Just what you said. That whole thing gets turned inside out. It's different skill sets. Playing right tackle and playing left tackle, everyone knows there's two different skills doing it. Your right tackle is mostly your running guy. Your left tackle is your pass protecting guy. Even though the 49ers do run the ball a lot out of the left, going to their left because Trent's so good. He can do both. That's why he makes $26 million. Yeah, let me double check that. I want to make sure that I'm not speaking bullshit to you guys. What is Trent Williams' contract in 2023? Okay. 27.1. What is Lane Johnson's salary in 2023? 14 million. It came down from, I think it was 18. Trent makes $27 million. Okay. There's a reason. Okay. Chuck says Stabler and Young benefited by great defenses. You might want to add those great wideouts, too, that they had on those teams. I mean, Jerry Rice and The receivers, Fred Biletnikoff and all them other guys that they had on those teams. They had a couple Hall of Fame tight ends too. Dave Casper was on that team. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And their old line, Shell and Upshaw, that might help. Yeah, that's it, Steven. Trent makes $27.7 million in this coming season, and Lane will make 14. There's a reason for that. There's a reason. The positions are more valuable on the left side because they're the blind side. That's not an ability conversation. People tie that in. And I understand that guy who is the best player makes the most money. That's not always the case because we see that in quarterback pay, right? Does anybody actually think that Ryan Tannehill is a better quarterback than Tom Brady? And he made $4 million more last year than Tom Brady, right? Jim Otto, too. That's right, man. He was on that team, and he was a center on that team, and he's a Hall of Fame. Can you imagine that? You had a Hall of Fame center, Hall of Fame left guard, and Hall of Fame tackle with the Raider teams. Wow. Shell and Upshaw and Otto, all three Pro Football Hall of Famers. And your wideouts were all Hall of Famers, and your tight end was too. Holy shit, no wonder Madden won all them games. Well, he only makes half of what Trent Williams' salary. Well, yeah, Marky, people in Philly will tell you all kinds of bullshit. They'll make it seem that Lane's the same guy as Trent. He's not. There's a reason he makes almost $30 million. That's why when people do this and say this, hey, Jalen will take $30 million. So you're going to pay him the same money you're paying the 49er tackle. That's an insult, dude. That's an insult. You're going to pay Jalen Hurts the same money you pay Trent Williams. I don't think so. You need to bump that up about $15 million, dog. Right? Right? You needed to bump that up a little more. Didn't Lane restructure his contract? I think I remember they did a little bit of that, so they may have given him more on the sign so it wouldn't be dead cap money on that thing for him. Maybe they did. I thought he was more in the 18s. I did. Anyway, I got to take a timeout. Merrill Reese is going to join us at 4:30 Eastern. This is his 4th Super Bowl. I can't wait to hear him, man. I mean, he's going back to another Super Bowl. He's been the voice of every single Super Bowl in Eagle history. It's like a classroom for Eagle fans listening to this guy. 4:30 Eastern. Hit the like button. Hour 2. Keep it here on the National Football.